Hello everyone. Всем добрый день. С вами Александр Иванович. And today we are going to work with reading. The context of this lesson is a short story by the famous American writer O. Henry, which has a characteristic for the detective stories twist at the end. That is why you are to be very attentive while reading and listening the text. And your task is not only to understand the main idea, but to pay attention at the details to be able to answer the questions. Besides, while reading and listening the first part of the story, you are to practice reading aloud the sentences with a good sentence rhythm. Mind your intonation. Well, okay. That's why, if you understand it, let's start with reading. In this case, you are to read the first part. Mind the main characters in this story. But before reading the first part, look at the picture. There are two main characters. This girl is Vivian, and the man in front of her is Mr. Hartley. That is why start working with the exercise number A, where you are to remember how describe the people, how do they look like, and what they are wearing. It is in the first question. Be attentive and answer the question where they are. And this third question, try to guess if you don't know, if you didn't read the stories by O. Henry, in what century the action takes place. Well, after doing this task, you are to read the text. After reading it, you are to listen, and you will listen the whole text. Let's go to the audio.
4.7
Girl by O. Henry. Part 1.
I've found where she lives,
said the detective quietly.
Here is the address.
Hartley took the piece of paper. On it were the words, Vivian Arlington, number 341, East 49th Street.
She moved there a week ago,
said the detective.
I can follow her if you want. It will only cost you $7 a day and expenses.
No, thank you,
interrupted Hartley.
I only wanted the address. How much is it?
1 day's work,
said the detective.
$10.
Hartley paid the man. Then he left the office and took a tram to Broadway. After walking a short distance, he arrived at the building that he was looking for. Hartley rang the bell. The door opened. He went in and began to climb the stairs. On the 4th floor, he saw her standing in an open door. Vivian was about 21. Her hair was red gold, and her eyes were sea blue. She was wearing a white top and a dark skirt.
Vivian,
said Hartley.
You didn't answer my last letter. It took me a week to find your new address. Why didn't you answer me? You knew I was waiting to see you and hear from you.
Well, okay, after listening, by the way, you are going to answer these questions. But I want to remember you that for the second reading, you may use scripts. For example,
on the 4th floor, he saw her standing in an open door.
And follow the sentences which are read. That is why pay attention or focus again on the pronunciation and the rhythm of the sentences. And there is, can be read by different and listened by different speed, slow, normal, and fast? Well, later, before answering the questions, you are to work in the text with the text. For example, the first question is, what did the detective give Hartley? What did he offer to do? To answer these questions, return to the text and find the provement for the question. For example, what did the detective give Hartley? You may find and mark, by the way, you may use this mark. For example, where it is, Hartley took the piece of paper, and so on. Working by this way with the text, it will be easier for you to find an answer for the question. Well, okay, then later you are to work with some of the words, in this case, which you will meet in the text. If you don't know some of them, you may find them in the dictionary. Only then you are to pass working with the second part of the text. But look here, some words are underlined in yellow. In this case, I want to remember you that we are speaking in this case about adverbs of manner. То есть в данном случае мы речь ведем о словообразовании наречий от прилагательных, которые обозначают поведение человека. We can say by this way, we often use these adverbs of manner in writing to show how the characters are feeling, behaving or speaking. То есть эти наречия, отображающие поведение людей на письме, указывают, как главные герои, как персонажи себя чувствуют, как они себя ведут, как они разговаривают. И основная в данном случае, не уделяя много внимания образованию наречий от прилагательных, они образуются путем прибавления суффикса «ли» к прилагательному. Например, dream, dreamly, slow, slowly, complete, completely и так далее. То есть это вам по ходу, чтобы вы вспомнили, какой частью речи и вы сталкиваетесь, и что она обозначает. Now you are to read the second part of the text. Then let's start reading. You will listen the whole part of this text.
4.8.
Part 2. The girl looked out the window dreamily.
Mr. Hartley,
She said slowly.
I don't know what to say to you. I understand all the advantages of your offer, and sometimes I feel sure that I could be happy with you. But then sometimes I am less sure. I was born a city girl, and I am not sure that I would enjoy living a quiet life in the suburbs.
My dear girl,
Said Hartley.
you will have everything that you want. You can come to the city for the theater, for shopping, and to visit your friends as often as you want. You can trust me, can't you?
I can trust you completely.
She said, smiling at him.
I know you are the kindest of men, and that the girl who you get will be very lucky. I heard all about you when I was at the Montgomerys.
Ah,
Exclaimed Hartley.
I remember so well the evening I first saw you at the Montgomerys. I will never forget that dinner. Come on, Vivian, promise me. I want you. Nobody else will ever give you such a happy home.
Vivian didn't answer. Suddenly Hartley was suspicious.
Tell me, Vivian,
He asked.
is there someone else?
You shouldn't ask that, Mr. Hartley.
She said.
But I will tell you. There is one other person, but I haven't promised him anything.
Vivian,
Said Hartley, masterfully.
you must be mine.
Vivian looked him in the eye.
Do you think for one moment
She said calmly.
that I could come to your home while Eloise is there.
Well, okay, you have listened two parts of this story. In this case, after listening to the second part, answer these questions. And by the way, try to understand what is happening. What does Mr. Hartley offer to Vivienne? That's why don't forget that you are reading a detective story. That's why if you didn't read it before, it will be not so easy to understand what will happen later. And this is your task. Read it and listen both parts of the text again and try to understand all of the details. At the next lesson, we will listen to remain parts of the text and you will understand what is the whole story about. But be ready to explain what was happening while reading the text. Try to characterize different characters of this story and try to express your own opinion about this story and particularly about each of the characters. Okay? If it is clear, I hope it is so. That's why have a good luck and be ready to work the next lesson with the other part of the text. That's all. To see you soon. Goodbye.